All right, we are back. Okay, so here's what we have to do. We have to break this down and we have to see exactly what's going on. So, for today's lesson, we are talking about what your student objectives going to do, and we're going to talk about some more stuff, and we're going to talk about something that's going to get your mind going and maybe even creating a poem later on. You know, everything was building, right? We've been building, 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 building. So now we got to keep on doing the building, but at the same time, we got to make sure we lay a foundation to keep building because you start building on rocky foundation, everything falls down to the wayside. So today's objectives, students' objectives, you will learn how to use descriptive and sensory language to compose a poem. Students will understand how to apply understanding of a character development in relation to theme, poetic types, and effective descriptive and sensory language. Students will be able to demonstrate multifaceted understandings in the of the power of storytelling. All right, so let's break this down. Let's break down each one of these little bubbles, and I'm gonna try to make it quick so we don't have to stay here long. Okay, students will use descriptive and sensory language to compose a poem. Okay, so we've already been through descriptive language. We've already been through sensory language. We know descriptive language is something that's going to describe. We know that sometimes you can use figurative language, and it can be descriptive also because it adds color to the poem. We know sensory language is really based on your five senses, right? So it's emotion, if you can feel it, see it, touch it, all those different things. If you can do that in that poem or you write those type of words on those lines, then that makes it into a poem. Next, students will understand how to apply the understanding of character development in relation to theme. We know what theme is. Theme has a moral lesson. Theme has something to do with more to the story. It's a lesson or virtue, something that's going on bigger than what it is. Themes can also be implied or stated. Notice how I say it's stated because it can actually say this is the theme. Or you can read everything and you'll say, wow, that poem must be about basketball. Or that poem must be about a free throw. Or that poem must be about his dad going to Krispy Kreme. We've read all types of different poems that had all types of different themes. I'm just giving you some examples so you can understand. All right, moving on forward, and we already know poetic types. I gave you a whole entire PowerPoint on poetic types last week. Go back to it, refer back to it, use it as your notes. You can use that as your notes whenever you don't know something. You can always refer back to it, and there you go. If you have any questions, you know what you do. You can send me an email. You can come to my small groups. Everything's all good. All right, moving forward. Students will be able to demonstrate multifaceted understanding of power of storytelling. If you haven't noticed, this entire book is a story. It's been telling the story the whole time. They've been telling the story in different ways through different poems, using the different poetic types, but it's still telling the story, and they're all narrative poems because they're telling a story. That's the power of storytelling. The power of storytelling is like fables, myths, and everything else in between. It's something to grab your attention, it's something to entertain you, and it's something to inform you. All these different things are part of storytelling. Focus on that, know what it is, because eventually, not today, eventually I'm going to ask you to write a poem with no sentence stems this time, not to fill in the blank at all with a poem. Actually, you're going to write your own poem. All right, so moving forward, today we are going to talk about concrete nouns. We don't have that much to talk about. It is real simple. Concrete nouns is something that you can see, hear, smell, touch, or taste. Now, what I have been doing is I reached out to a couple of you guys, and you guys said you like charts. Cool, no problem. We can hook up these charts. So when I show you this chart right here, you can actually put this chart in your journal. Concrete noun is something you can take. It's something you can five senses. You put the five senses in the middle. You can hear it, a sense. You can touch it, another sense. You can see it, a sense. You can taste it, a sense. You can smell it, a sense. These are your five senses, people. We should not have any questions on what my five senses are. And if you do, please refer back to the chart, and the chart will allow you to know what it is. We give you some examples. A wave, you can see, you can hear it, you can actually smell it. You know, a hammer, you can touch it, see it. If you bang it, you can actually hear the sound that a hammer makes. Lobster, you know what it is. We can eat it, we can touch it, we can see it, we can definitely taste it. So That's pretty much it. Just pay attention to those things. So sensory language, to sum this all up, you got sensory language, and then you got concrete nouns. They're similar, but they're not the same. So as long as you understand that they're similar but not the same, you are moving down the right path. All right. So that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. You got some work to do. Knock your work out. That's what it pretty much is. I catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Mhm.